Once upon a time in the village of Aam, there lived a young teacher named Mr. Dammy. He hailed from the bustling town of Ibukan and was known for his sharp mind, smooth words, and a smile that could melt even the sternest hearts. His arrival in Aam came at a crucial time when the government recognized a pressing issue. Many young girls were dropping out of school due to early pregnancies. They knew they needed someone special to help, and that someone was Mr. Dammy. The news of his transfer spread through the village like wildfire. "He's coming to teach our daughters about life," the villagers whispered with excitement. Mr. Dammy's mission was clear: to educate the girls about their bodies, how to use protection, and how to avoid unwanted pregnancies that could derail their futures. In Aam, once a girl became pregnant, her educational journey was abruptly cut short, and she was often married off to the man who had claimed her innocence. When Mr. Dammy arrived, the village turned out in full force to welcome him. The elders, dressed in their finest clothes, stood beneath the great Ioko tree. Baba Ani, the oldest and wisest elder, stepped forward. "Teacher Dammy," he said, his voice resonating like a drumbeat, "you have come to save our daughters. They are like flowers in a storm, and we need you to shield them." Mr. Dammy nodded, his expression serious. "I am here to guide them," he replied. "I will teach them how to avoid mistakes that could close the doors to their future. They will learn to stay safe, to choose wisely, and to value their education above all." The parents sighed with relief, having seen too many dreams crumble like dry leaves. "With Dammy here, things will change," they said, their hearts filled with hope. However, as the villagers celebrated his arrival, few noticed the glint in Mr. Dammy's eye, a spark hinting at secrets hidden beneath his charming smile. He quickly became the talk of the village, his teaching methods differing greatly from those of the old instructors the girls had known. Mr. Dammy spoke gently, avoiding scolding or shouting. Instead, he wove lessons into stories that captivated his students. He held his classes under the big mango tree in the schoolyard, where the girls sat on wooden benches, eagerly absorbing every word. One day, he held up a condom, explaining, "This is a shield. It protects you from the consequences of carelessness." His voice was calm, yet his words carried a weight that resonated deeply. The girls nodded, their young minds absorbing the information like sponges. "Your education is your future," he told them, his gaze steady. "You must not let anything or anyone take it away from you." The parents, watching from a distance, marveled at how their daughters seemed eager to attend school again. "This Dammy is a blessing," they whispered. "Look how he opens their eyes." Yet, the admiration was not one-sided. The girls began to look at Mr. Dammy with wide eyes, filled with something deeper than mere respect. His charming smile, soft voice, and the way he engaged with each of them made them feel valued. They trusted him completely, like sheep following a shepherd, unaware of the wolf hidden beneath his kindness. At first, Mr. Dammy's actions seemed harmless. He would offer small gestures of affection, a light touch on the shoulder here, a playful compliment there. "You're very smart," he would say to a girl, smiling warmly. "One day you'll go far." His words made them blush, and his charm wrapped around them like the soft wool of a sheep's coat. However, as time passed, Mr. Dammy's intentions began to reveal a darker side. One sunny afternoon, after a lesson on the dangers of unprotected sex, he clapped his hands to gather the girls' attention. "Now, you've all listened well," he said, his voice firm yet friendly. "I have a special activity for you today." The girls leaned in, eager to hear what he had planned, their excitement palpable. But as he continued speaking, the air shifted. "I want each of you to share your thoughts about relationships and what you've learned. It's important to be open and honest," he urged, his demeanor shifting subtly. As they shared their thoughts, Mr. Dammy's gaze lingered a little too long on certain girls, his smile a little too warm. The lines between teacher and confidant blurred, and the atmosphere grew charged with an unsettling tension. Days turned into weeks, and while the girls initially felt empowered by the knowledge he was sharing, they also began to feel an inexplicable pull toward him, an attraction they didn't fully understand. Mr. Dammy had cleverly woven himself into their lives, becoming not just a teacher but a figure of authority and admiration. As the girls confided in him, sharing their fears and dreams, Mr. Dammy began to exploit their trust. He would invite them to stay after class, offering one-on-one sessions under the guise of providing extra help. "You have so much potential," he would say, "but I need to make sure you're fully prepared for the world." The girls, eager to succeed and grateful for his attention, complied without hesitation. What began as innocent guidance soon turned into manipulative interactions. Mr. Dammy's charm, once a beacon of hope, morphed into a tool for his own desires, and the line separating teacher from predator began to blur. The villagers, initially thrilled with the changes in the school, started to notice subtle shifts in their daughter's behavior. The laughter that once rang through the schoolyard now felt tinged with secrecy. The girls were becoming distant, their conversations laced with whispers and stolen glances. As the days wore on, the truth of Mr. Dammy's intentions threatened to surface. The very foundation of trust that had been built was now at risk of crumbling, and the fate of the young girls hung in the balance. Would they be able to recognize the danger lurking beneath his charm before it was too late? The village of AAM, once filled with hope, now stood on the precipice of a crisis that could unravel all they had worked for. If you've made it this far, I encourage you to like and subscribe to the channel to continue enjoying fascinating content like this. Your support is very important to us. Marco, known as the troublemaker of the village, stood outside, peering through a crack in the school wall. His curiosity had drawn him to the schoolyard. He had noticed a disturbing pattern. Girls were leaving the classroom one by one, their faces clouded with confusion. What is going on here? He wondered, his mind sharp as a blade. Instead of shouting and exposing what he had witnessed, he chose to remain hidden and observe. What he saw did not fill him with fear, but ignited a spark of opportunity. With a plan forming in his mind, he quietly slipped away from the scene. Later that evening, as Mr. Dammy made his way home, Marco stepped out from behind a tree, blocking his path. "Ah, Mr. Dammy," Marco said, his voice smooth like palm oil. "You've been quite busy, haven't you?" Dammy froze, his smile fading instantly. "What do you mean?" he asked, his tone sharp and defensive. Marco chuckled, folding his arms across his chest. "Oh, nothing much. Just that I saw you today, you and the girls. Very interesting lessons you're giving." Dammy's face turned pale. He knew Marco's reputation. If this man spoke, everything would be ruined. "What do you want?" Dammy asked, his voice low and tense. Marco leaned in, his grin widening. "It's simple," he said. "When you're done with the girls, send them my way. Let me have my share of the education." Dammy hesitated, his mind racing, but he knew he had no choice. Marco's threat loomed over him like a storm cloud ready to burst. Finally, he nodded, his voice bitter. "Fine, but keep your mouth shut." And just like that, a twisted partnership began. The next time Dammy called a girl into his room, Marco waited in the shadows. When Dammy was finished, he sent the girl to Marco, saying, "Go to my friend Marco, he'll teach you something else." Always ready, Marco welcomed the girls with open arms. "You're safe with me," he would say, his words dripping with deceit. Together, they formed a dark alliance, each man feeding off the other's wickedness. As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere in the school grew increasingly tense. The girls, who once entered with smiles and dreams, now left with lost expressions and a sense of confusion. The purpose of education had been distorted into a grim game where innocence was sacrificed at the altar of greed and power. Dammy, trapped in his own web of decisions, began to feel the weight of guilt. The laughter of his students haunted him in his dreams, reminding him of the light they once brought into his life. Yet, the shadow of Marco kept him captive, reminding him that he had crossed a line from which there was no return. Meanwhile, Marco reveled in his newfound power. Each encounter with the girls was a reminder that he had successfully manipulated the teacher to his advantage. However, beneath his confident facade, a sense of unease began to grow. How far was he willing to go to maintain his secret? The situation reached a critical point one afternoon when a visibly shaken girl decided to speak out. With tears in her eyes, she approached the school principal, who, upon hearing her story, was horrified. The truth spilled out like an uncontrollable torrent. The community rallied together to confront the corruption that had tainted the lives of so many young girls. Dammy was dismissed and faced charges for abuse of power and inappropriate conduct. Marco, though he tried to escape the consequences, could not evade the fallout. His reputation as a troublemaker followed him like a shadow, and he soon realized that he had lost more than just a partnership. He had lost his humanity. I hope you enjoyed this amazing trip. Subscribe and don't miss our next video. See you next time.